Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So today we're just gonna kind of walk through uh, our latest results from 270 Winchester. If you watched the range footage that I shot, whatever, a day or so ago, but go watch that the range footage. And I just kind of basically walk through some of the results that we got, and what I was doing with some follow-up testing for this guy right here, for the Barnes 129gr LRX. So using Hodgdon Superformance, Barnes has load data for that bullet powder combination. And so what I wanted to do, because I've got, I think maybe 4 pounds of that powder, 3 of them, well, about 3.5 pounds, but 3 of the pounds are same lot number. I just recently got them whenever I think midway, or no, it wasn't midway. It was Mid-South, had some powder in stock, and I was able to get a few pounds, or I might have got that direct from Hodgdon, one of the two, neither here nor there, but they're same lot number. And I wanted to work up a good hunting load for the 270 Winchester. If you'll remember, it's the Steyr Arms Pro Hunter stainless. So really nice rifle. Really the only complaint, which is not really a complaint because it's a hunting rifle, it's meant for hunting purposes only. It's not meant for target shooting or, you know, going to the range and shooting 100 rounds through it and all that. It's not meant for that. But the barrel heats up extremely quickly after you're basically, you can shoot a 3-shot group, and then after that your data will become skewed simply because of how hot the barrel is. You will definitely start to see some issues with that. So pretty much the way I ran this load development, very similar to a lot of what I've done in the past, where I load up, you know, obviously choose the powder that I want to use, and then I'll load up a velocity / pressure test, and see what we get. And in this case, let's see, yeah, because the max goes up to 58.3, I believe, in the Barnes manual, but we only went up to 57.7. And then we were going to see how it looked, and then if we wanted to continue to push it beyond that, we would. But started at 55, worked my way up in 0.3 of a grain increments just because of case capacity and the size and the volume of powder. If it was something like 6.5 Creedmoor, I would do 0.2. That's normally how I run that test in smaller cartridges. So, but with this, we went with 0.3, and you know, trucking along here, and then we hit this area in the charge weight where from 56.5 or 56.5 and 56.8, you know, our spread was only 7 feet per second on our velocity. So that's an area, I mean, that's across, you know, those 2 charge weights. So I wanted to go back, sort of explore that area even more. That's your flat spot, or whatever you want to call it, your plateau on your velocity. You want to look for those charge weights where you've got a sort of a tight window there on velocity, and it doesn't really change that much. So I went back, loaded up 3-shot groups at 56.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. I wanted to see what does that area yield in terms of accuracy. We know the velocity has the potential to be consistent, right, between, you know, kind of in that range. There is potential there possibly to have decent velocity numbers, but what does that even look like in terms of accuracy? Because if the accuracy sucks, you know, yeah, you could start to tweak seating depth, and then you start running, you know, you're burning through a whole lot of components at that point. And Barnes bullets are just, they're not necessarily something I want to burn through a lot of when I'm trying to work up a hunting load, because they're not cheap, and the prices are only going up. If you've seen all the stuff going around about, you know, all the manufacturers coming out and saying, hey, price increases are here to stay, you know, going to bump up by 5% or whatever. Barnes bullets are generally more expensive already. So now on top of that, you have another increase. It kind of makes them, you know, even more so, where you really need to dial in your loads as quickly as possible. So in this case, it actually worked out really well. So I did that, loaded up the 10 shots, found the area that I thought would be promising, went back, loaded up 12 more, so 4 3-shot groups in that range, and all the groups were under 3/4 of an inch. Now, I'll show you that target. So that's, or maybe what I need to do is bring a little notebook over here. But so that's these guys right here. Pretty much what I did, I just mounted that True Glow 4-14 scope, and so I was just wanting to see where I was at, make sure I was zeroed and everything. And so I did a bore sight and then shot the 180 Woodleys just to check, make sure I was good to go, which I was, obviously. And then shot that 56.5 grain group right there. And I did make a scope adjustment left, I think like 1 click, maybe, I believe is what it was. I think just 1 left. 56.5 right there, then followed it up 56.6, 56.7, 56.8. That's 2 and then 1 up a little bit higher. So, and all 4 of those groups again came in under 3/4 of an inch. So really good stuff. So in that range, you know, it showed pretty promising results, and so I wanted to go back and double check our 56.6 grain load, since that was the best performer out of the 4, and just see what that looked like. And so that's what I did. I went back, and so the overall length is 3.3. That's what I tested with, was 3.3. And so I loaded up 3 follow-on groups to test at 56.6. I loaded up another one at 3.3 inches, all right, which is that guy. Okay, that's that 3-shot group there. And then I followed the Barnes recommended method of finding a decent load. And pretty much what they tell you to do is find your jam point. You know, go watch all the Eric Cortina stuff if you want to do that, and bolt action reloading and all that. They dive way off deep into the jam point, and then the lands and where you need to whatever, and where you need to start, and with your seating depth. But if you go by the Barnes manual, they take pretty big jumps. So you find your jam point, which for this particular bullet in my rifle is 3.385. And they tell you to back off 50 thousandths. They jump in 50 thousandths increments, and keep loading up groups, stepping down 50 thousandths, seating it deeper each time until you find a good load. So I was already at 3.3, and those 4 groups shot, those 4 charge weights shot really well. Wanted to follow up, check that one. So I loaded up at 3.3, and then I also loaded up, kind of did the Barnes deal where it was, okay, 50 thousandths off of my jam point, which is 3.335, and then another 50 off of that, which is 3.285. And I just kind of wanted to see what it would do to our groups, and these were the results. So this is promising just because it's a follow-up, kind of more of a verification or a validation load, we'll say, of what we shot previously. This guy. So, you just kind of look at those two, and that's really good stuff. So, really good performance back to back on those loads. 56.6 grains of Superformance at a 3.3 inch overall length, with the Barnes 129 grain LRX. I mean, that's really good stuff. So just that was really good. That made for a really good range day, just having that good follow-up group. And then I shot the longer overall length of 3.335, which shot the exact same group size, slightly higher point of impact, which that is kind of interesting, that I had a slightly higher point of impact on the next 2 groups. That one's longer, that one's shorter, but yet my point of impact was a little bit higher. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. I mean, I tried to let the barrel, like I was talking about on the range footage, I tried to let the barrel cool down as much as possible, but I mean, it was still, you know, slightly warm. This was shot completely cold. And then, you know, I tried to shoot some 6.5 Creedmoor in between these groups and let the barrel cool down, but, you know, you have to sit and wait a while for that barrel to cool down. And so it was slightly elevated in temp, nothing too crazy though, but I just found that to be very interesting, that the point of impact did shift up with the longer overall length and the shorter overall length. I found that to be interesting. So, yeah, so there's the results. So seating it longer, I mean, obviously, if I was really concerned about it, you know, this is something I'd want to continue to test, and that way I would know, hey, you know, if I could validate that, yes, 3.335 and 3.30 in that range, I've got some pretty good performance in there, very consistent and good performance, then okay, then I would just load them to, you know, the 3.335 and then just roll on with it, load them longer, and then that way I know as the erosion takes place, you know, and the jam point shifts further, then I'm good. I'm good for quite a while. So yeah, so that's the kind of thing, if I was really worried about it, which I'm not. I just thought it was interesting. Normally, the way I do this, I wouldn't even do this setup right here. If I found a good load that performed well, again, this is a hunting rifle. I'm not gonna shoot it a whole lot. I'm definitely gonna do some more testing with the various bullets that I have, but it's not a target rifle. It's not a competition rifle. I'm not rebarreling it anytime soon. This is gonna be a rifle that I put up and hunt with. You know, I won't get too wild with it, shooting a whole bunch of rounds through it. But typically, I would just find that good velocity area, see what it looks like accuracy-wise, and then, you know, shoot a follow-up group or two with whatever I felt was the best to verify, yes, that truly is a good load. Then I might load up another 5 and go get velocity information. That way I'm good and I'm done, and I'm not, you know, at that point, I didn't even burn through a whole box of components, right? So that's really the big thing, because that's 10 plus 12, so that's 22 right there, and then another 9, so you're at 31. So I mean, 31, you've got 19 more to use. I can, you know, throw another 5, go get my velocity data, get an average, and call it done, right? And now I've got 14 rounds to go hunt with. So this is when this whole setup kind of works out pretty good. But like I said, I normally wouldn't even fool with that. So really I'd have, typically the way I would do it, I'd have about 20 rounds left, if I wouldn't have tacked on those extra ones. So, which is a box of ammo, and you're done, and there's your hunting load. So that's generally the way I do it. It worked out really well in this case. Powder, bullet, rifle combination, everything worked out really well. So I'm looking forward to loading those up and using those this coming deer season. I think those will be pretty awesome. But that's it for the latest and greatest 270 Winchester stuff. Now I've just got to, I've got my SIG brass here. So I just gotta get all this stuff de-primed using the Lee decapping die. So doing that, got my Redding shell holder in there, using that guy. So I'll get all these de-primed. I'll kind of wipe them down a little bit. I know it's weird, but I don't clean my brass. That one didn't pop all the way out. There we go. And then after that, I'll go through the resizing process, and then of course I'll check everything overall lengthwise. I'll probably still run them through the Lee trimmer set up there. That way everything's a consistent length. If everything is slightly long, then get everything to a consistent overall length and go from there. get everything cleaned up and chamfered, deburred. Then I'll drop some powder, and that'll be it. I'll load up 5 of these, check velocity, and then we'll see how that velocity looks, and I will plug that into my ballistics calculator, save the load, and we're done with that hunting load. So that's kind of how that works. Yeah, so that's it. Nothing more to see here. Just de-priming a bunch of 270. Yeah, so we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one. Again, make sure y'all run over to Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. They've got that, it's their anniversary sale. They've been open for 4 years now, coming up. Actually, today's May 1st, so they've been open for 4 years. I believe they opened in the month of May. But they've got a ton of stuff in stock. They just restocked the shelves. They got some ammo in. If you're looking for that, they got a ton of ARs, ton of AR parts. I mean, you name it. Yeah, so if you're looking for any of that, make sure you run down there, go load up on some Magpul P-Mags and all that fun stuff. So, all right, we will catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.